Hi everybody, Chris here from Truly Holistic. In this video we're going to talk about the chart system I currently use when you will book an appointment with me. Now this system, one of my first videos I ever put out was showing you the system that I use, and it's evolved a lot over that time. And so I'm going to talk a bit of a background of how everything started and how it's evolved and why it's the way it is now, and how it can benefit you if you're looking to be healed or assisted or coached in any way in regards to healing a health problem, or wanting to be more conscious or spiritual, and a number of things. Start to manifest and see the ways that reality is put together, so you can understand how to create the things you want to create and see in your reality, and a number of things. So in regards to the chart system, I started off with the True Quantum Healing course charts, which are quite comprehensive. Okay, they're a whole lot of charts. You get a couple of charts here. You can see the mass of charts that you get with the system, right? Probably good 200 odd charts in there. So it's quite comprehensive, and it's a good place to start. And it was wonderful for me. You know, at that particular time, I was doing color therapy, and we'll mention about color therapy in a minute, a little bit later in the video. And I also was working on alignment, structural mechanical alignment through intent alone, no physical manipulation, and that has gone now into this course that I developed, which was called Intuitively Alignment, to help people with neck and back trouble, and allowing them to have and feel empowered to do it themselves, not having to go to see a chiropractor or an osteopath or you know, anyone else to fix that problem. They could do that. So I was working on that, and then when I brought those dowsing charts into play from True Quantum Healing, it really took me to another place. There's no doubt about it, and I'm very blessed and grateful for that opportunity. But over the period of time to where I currently am, those charts have evolved big time. You know, I've added charts. I've put essentially my touch on, and with my connection with my higher aspects of self, adding charts, removing charts out, and adapting it to something that involves all the aspects of what I had learnt before I got those courses as well, those charts. So now we've got to a point where we've got a chart that probably has got only about 20 or 30 charts in it. So we've gone from about 200 charts to about 20 or 30 charts max. So you can see how simplified it's become. And why I wanted to show you this and do this video is because a big aspect of my path is been asking the questions that a lot of people don't ask, so hence don't get the answers to. And a big aspect of me was understanding reality, because if we can understand reality, we can understand why things intervene and come into our reality and may cause a problem. Early on it was a lot about reptilians and stuff, and for me, just declare reptilian after this, or Horus after this, or Satan after this, and all these entities, I needed to know why they're here. That wasn't enough for me just to keep clearing that stuff. You know, I needed to evolve myself as a healer to then see my clients evolve too. So a big aspect of the work that we do here at Truly Holistic is we have got the fingers on the pulse of ascension. Okay, we could call it ascension or ascendance or transcendence, and that is the understanding that energy is ever evolving itself all the time. It's changing, it's moving. Consciousness and energy know how to flow. They don't even know the aspect of flow. It's just what they do. And as the human, we can call that flow. But as the human, we're not very good with flow. We don't like changing. We don't like change. We don't like evolve. And a big aspect of why that is because of this reality that we've been limited to. Okay, this form that we've been limited to. Okay, and that's why the aspect of connection, connecting to your soul, your higher aspects of self, your source self, and even beyond that, which we're now connecting to, which we call celestial existence, is needed. Okay, because then when we have that connection, then we can bring through our true identity, but really bring through a truthful perception of what's going on in this reality instead of a distorted one, where we continue creating through fear, through the mind, instead of being connected through the heart space, which we call the sacred heart. So there's been a lot of involvement over that period of time, which has enabled us to make the charts a lot more simple, because we have a greater knowing and understanding of what reality is. What are the rules? What is the game that we are playing here? And when you start to understand and realize that, you notice that a number of these entities, these heads, all connect to the same energy. So, instead of just removing this entity and removing that entity, we're going to the core, to the root of the issue of where they get their energy from. And also understand universal laws, that all consciousness wants to evolve. And when we realize that certain consciousnesses evolve through an energy which is fear, which is the polarity to the fear, polarity to the energy that we need to evolve, we start to understand why certain beings which are connected to a consciousness behave in the way they do. Okay? So what you'll get here at Truly Holistic is not just clearing work, but a greater knowing or understanding of why these things are happening to you. Because then you incorporate that in your life, so therefore those things won't remanifest. Because a pivotal aspect of why things are in your reality is yourself. What you allow, what things do you allow into your awareness, and what things you decide, no, I don't want them to be part of your reality again, because it's up to you. You're not a participator of reality, you're a creator of reality. You're very powerful, and that's the one thing that often people forget about, is how powerful you are. Okay? We tend to really emphasize the vulnerability of the human instead of understanding that the human can be connected to an infinite consciousness. And that's very powerful as long as we're connected to it. Okay, so that has enabled us to really reduce the amount of charts we need. So we're really trimming the fat, so to speak. And we're allowed to really get to the crux of the problem. And for some people, that might be a big jump for a lot of people coming to do sessions here, because we're not just gonna just work on superficial things. We're going straight to the root cause, and it might be something that comes up that you don't want to hear, or might feel a bit uncomfortable. But please understand, as the human, the biggest problem for humanity for a very long time is our inability to evolve, ascend, because we don't like change. We've been programmed to not like change. So some of the things that come up may feel maybe a bit uncomfortable for you, or have to go through a transitioning period where the clearings are unfolding for you, that might make you feel uncomfortable to start off with, because that's what change does. For example, I'll tell clients about the fact that, hey, if you want to, let's say you consciously took the decision to do a gallbladder and liver flush cleanse, right? You know that over that weekend while you're doing it, it's going to feel uncomfortable, but you have the knowing at the end of the day, the light at the end of the tunnel, you're doing it to enhance the vitality and the health of that area of your body. Okay, so quite often with energy that's evolving and shifting, which is ascension, we're trying to keep up with it, is that you're going to go through a number of changes, which is going to feel sometimes a bit like a detoxification. And for a lot of people, they may, because they don't have the knowing and understanding of why that's occurring, they may think things are actually getting worse. But quite often it's things are getting better, as long as we keep our mind out of the way, because the mind comes in and creates all these other projections that will slow or impede that process that is evolving you. Okay, so we've really simplified it, and another reason why it was simplified, and again, wasn't from here, this was just something that naturally occurred, and me reflecting on that now, is the fact that when you simplify a system, you're making it less cerebral. Okay, and the problem with being cerebral about everything and being analytical about everything is we start, as a healer, start to heal from the mind, okay? And that's a very bad place to go because it will interfere with your dowsing. You're going to have a number of times where dowsing gets interfered with or it's not going so well. Well, that's not about an external influence. It's about you being in the mind and not being in the heart space. So you disconnect yourself from your guides, your higher aspects of self, which will affect your dowsing. Also, you'll start to try and create from the mind, and you'll be misled. Okay, so you wanna keep it simple, okay, and you want to go by feel. You don't want to overthink things. Again, I always tell my clients, feel your way instead of think your way. So this system is a reflection of all that stuff that I've learned, and I teach my clients as well about that too. And it's had an effect on how my system has evolved. Okay, so really we're transformed up the charts and everything, the way we're doing things. I'm also, for most of the clearing work, I'm not using a geometry tool to amplify my intent. There was a time where I evolved so much that the tools are training wheels. Okay, so whether the tensor technology tools that were helping to anchor frequency in, or whether it's a Merkaba or a Chesterhedron or a Vesica Pisces or a pyramidal tool, they are just training wheels to get to the point where you will not need that anymore because you understand that that energy, that effect is coming from you. It's very much like when you're dowsing. You start off with a pendulum, and it's not the pendulum ability to find out the answers for you. It's you. And you realize that after a while, when you're using your pendulum, that you don't need to keep it still. You can move your arm around, you can feel it being drawn to a certain word or a letter, and eventually realize it's not the pendulum. I don't need the pendulum anymore. It's within me. That's being expressed through my arm onto a chart. Okay. We all have our own abilities. People see auras, right? And people see things. People do dows. All different. We're all different. We're all unique, and that's great. But we all need to evolve. Okay, and that's a key aspect. And that's a big thing I love about where I have evolved myself, is we're not using the energy tools anymore. We just use the intent. We just facilitate that. And a lot of the clearings which we're facilitating for clients is all about connection. It's not about me being this, master. And I don't really like the word again, master, because we're never a master or anything. Ascension's all about change. Why are the changes occurring? Because we're always learning something new all the time. That's just the whole reason why we're here. Is we get told, right, that we're here as a human experience. What the human experience is to learn every moment, learning something, because we're creating a space where we're consciously aware about everything that's unfolding, so we can look at things in a different way. Our perception of what we see every day changes. So life never becomes boring, and that will be an indication of you being on the right path, is that you realize that life is not boring anymore. Okay, if you're boring, that is a disconnection problem. Okay, so, and if you're bored, as I say, a disconnection problem. So, it's been a great ride so far, and again, it's facilitated the charts to be different. So let's get into the charts. So what I've got at the start is a diagnostic chart. Okay, so we won't go specifically into the charts. I'm just going to give you a brief preview of the chart. And this diagnostic chart enables me to kind of start. Where do I start? Do I start on my conversation chart, which is an alphabet chart? I call it a conversation chart because anybody that's done sessions with me understand why I call it that, because I don't look at my higher self or source self as something external to me. It's me. It's a self. And I'm just having a conversation with it. So with that conversation, because if we don't do it as a conversation, we're just finding out words to say. But as a conversation, we can get what we need to say as the intent for the clearing for the client, but also get greater knowing and understanding of why we have to do it for a client and what is this going to lead to for them, okay? Because when a client on the other end of the call has greater knowing and understanding of what's going on, the walls drop. That mind block from the client gets dropped down, and they become in a space where they receive better too. So the clearings will be a lot better. And when they have greater knowing and understanding of what's going on, it just allows them to continually facilitate that process to keep going instead of kind of block it out because they didn't understand what the process was all about. So again, their creation either getting in the way or actually allowing that process to take place. So on this chart, diagnostic chart, it might say to go to the conversation chart, which I probably spend 95% of my time on that chart. I've also got what tools or aids are needed. So I might go there, I'll go to my conversation chart, it'll tell me which tool to use. A tool that we're using quite a lot at the moment, which is a new tool that we'll be putting on my website very soon, is a different version of the divinity ring. It's a divinity ring, but cut to a specific a measurement that we use here at Truly Holistic called the Ascension Cubit, and this enables what the divinity ring can do, but enhances its ability. Now the thing about the divinity ring is it connects whatever you place on it, the body or food or water, the divinity ring, to its higher aspects of self, so its divine aspects of self. Now this takes it to its celestial existence connection, even past source self. So it takes it even higher. So we've been using this a lot within sessions, and it's doing wonderful stuff. So that's one of the tools that we use. That might be the divinity ring, might be sun ring or whatever. I've also got Google search on here. So that might, if we go there, then we're going to go into Google and search something and use good old Dr. Google to find maybe a specific word that's going to be a powerful word to use for an intent, for a healing, or just an area, that anatomy that maybe we don't have in the charts, and it's just something we need to know. I've also got use Jedi principles. Now what that means is Jedi principles means essentially the principles of neutrality. You think about Star Wars, the Jedi it's all about the aspects of neutrality, like being in the now, being present in the moment, not allowing to get too far ahead of yourself in regards to mind orientation, and then being one with source, and they'll say one with force, right, which is directly in alignment with source. So a number of those things. So that at that time, if we go there, then we'll have a conversation with the client and explain those aspects of neutrality and how they can incorporate that in their life. And that kind of is in alignment with what people might call mindfulness, or creating a meditative state. Okay. Now, this one is to go to the question chart, which I kind of call now my chart, where it allows me to guide me in a direction or a path that we need to lead to find out what's going on and what clearings we need to do for the client. We've also got sustenance of energy chart. Now, sustenance of energy chart is all the areas of your life where you're either leaking your energy or charging your energy, and that might be family, that might be your work or your work colleagues, the thought processes, how you see self, food, water, sunshine, air, that could be relationships. So we look at that because there's no point filling up a bucket if there's still a hole at the bottom of the bucket and it keeps draining out. Again, we're just going to be working on superficial problems which will eventually remanifest, and we don't want that. We want to get to the crux of the problem, to the root of the problem, and sort it out for you. And that might be an aspect of your life that you might not be ready to change. It might be too difficult or uncomfortable for you, but we don't shy away from that stuff. If you're coming here to help, we want to help you as the best of our abilities as possible. Okay. Now the next one is just one I've added in there, which is to do with encouraging the client to make a chart where they can reflect on their life currently, on what creates ease in their life and what creates unease in their life. So this is really giving the client some homework to kind of look at the things that make them feel uneasy, because we know that unease creates unrest in the mind, which then manifests into dis-ease. And your mind will create the projection in reality of something physical, of a condition or illness or disease, through that feeling of unease that is the origin of that. So it just gives that client more knowing and understanding of maybe certain areas of their life that need work, right? Now the next one is the to-do chart, right? So, you know, it just gives us a number of other things, like another angle to kind of work on your problem, and what we need to work on for you in that system that's a little bit different than that question chart, which is, again, creating a guide or a path for what we need to do. We've also got broadcasting system, which is a system I created using the sun ring, and that we can bring that system in and find out a crystal, a herb, or for you American followers, herb. It might be a supplement, might be a vitamin, and we can just place that word or that intent in the sun ring and broadcast that into a certain area of your body that is needing it at that time. So we can facilitate that within the session. I've also got color therapy, so that might mean we need to place a color or a cotton on one of the coils that we use here. You might actually, yeah, you can see one in the background over there. And that gives you sustained frequency, a frequency that's just within the spectrum that is needed to heal a certain area and just give it sustained healing over a few days. So, and that's going to incorporate into something else that I'll talk to you about in a minute. Another one is go to the anatomy and physiology book, and I've also got there in brackets wand. What we've been starting to do is, instead of using dowsing charts for the anatomy and physiology, I've just been using an anatomy and physiology booklet and chart, which we'll just use that to find what areas of the body that we need to work on. For example, let's say it took us to the lymphatic system, then we'd find specifically where in the lymphatic system. Just with my hand, it'll just circle a word and find what area that needs working, what we need to work on. But also, I've got a wand or a tool that can just facilitate energy to open energies and clear energies, a bit like using acupuncture without the needle, right? Or facilitating energy within the meridian, using a wand like this just to facilitate the energy, because this is cut to again to a specific cubic measure, allowing a frequency of energy through. And also, we've also got on here balance chart, and this is using the divinity ring. So the divinity ring is a tool that's got 4 quadrants in it, very much like the Ascendence tool, so you can see the difference in size, right? And what you can do with the divinity ring with that is it may give you 4 commands that you can place in all 4, which all work together to create a more holistic balance or equilibrium that you're requiring at the time. For example, you may have the energy, okay? You may have, I'm just going to have to go to the chart to remember it. You may have the energy, the time, the space all sorted, but not the momentum. So what you do is you write the intention note in here, space, space, time, energy, and momentum, and then you just write your name and place it on it, and that will work as distance healing in regards to balancing those 4 aspects for everything to materialize in your life. Another one's earth, air, fire, water, so the elements, so balancing all elements. So a number of ways. So we have that as well. And the last one is the problem chart, which again is bringing us an awareness of where the problem is or what type of problem we're dealing with. So for example, a microbe problem or a reality problem or cancer problem or whatever. So and then we can figure out a solution to it. So let's go into some of the charts within it. Obviously, you already know that we've got the conversation chart there, which again, the majority of my work's done through that. So we have obviously a number of questions on our question chart, which I again call out my guide or path chart, and that will give us an idea of where we need to go and work. So a few examples of that is an alignment needed? Where is the client being drained of energy? Where is dis-ease? Is accumulation a problem? What is the reason for the problem? Is more understanding, knowing needed? So if we go there, it's not going to be clearing work, it's going to be more giving the client a greater knowing or understanding of what's going on, which is a healing in itself. As I say, that will enable that client to be more aware and conscious how they're using their creation ability, because a lot of the times we are creating it unconsciously a lot of the time because we don't realize how powerful we are with where we place our attention, but also how we use our intention. So we've got a whole number, and there's another chart there as well of, again, questions that we can use. Now, to the to-do chart, we've got a whole lot of commands there, what we need to do. And for example, one is here is correct flow. Okay, we know that on the energy, on the consciousness level, because everything happens there first and then manifests into this physical reality, is that energy or consciousness is flow. The problem is when it gets integrated in the human, because the human it struggles with flow. A lot of the times we're our own worst enemy, because our mind comes in and intervenes and creates obstruction and blockage of flow. Okay, where if we're more in the heart space, we enable that higher aspect of our light, our consciousness through, which is just naturally flow, and we just allow it in, like riding the wave, like being in the flow of life, right? But if we enable enough time, and this is the negative effects of time, the mind can intervene with time, where consciousness doesn't need time. The mind needs time. For example, when we've got the gut instinct, right? Our gut instinct, it's there within a split second. Now that's consciousness, because it doesn't need time. But if we go, actually, I'm going to think about this, we allow time, and that's when the mind can come and intervene and knock you off track, and that can become a problem and obstruct flow. Other things is disconnecting you from the arrangement of the cube. Okay, so arrangement is symbolic for structure, and also the word information. That's where the word information comes from. And cube is a 3D geometry, which locks you in a 3D reality, a bit like this matrix reality, right? Is limiting our abilities here instead of allowing that flow of consciousness through that gives you enhanced capabilities. Work on the circadian rhythm. It's got here. Address trauma. Trauma, again, is usually stuff that we've had in the past that we carry with us and if we're carrying it with us, it becomes an awareness of our now, and our now is the building blocks of our future. So we can't seem to get rid of this trauma that's affecting us, right? Work on, here we go, go to the skeletal to-do chart. So that might be working on mechanical or structural misalignment in the spine. Evolution change needed. So we work on that, remove toxicity, and so on. Now we go to the problems chart. And as I say, problems, it can be a micro problem, reality, autoimmune problem, emotional problem, hive mind problem, imagination or escapism problem, because as we're brought into this reality as little kids, we are very imaginative, which is a source connection, and as we get older chronologically, we get that kind of programmed out of us, and as adults, when we can't bear facts of reality, of this reality that's being formulated, and because we've been programmed for such a long time, we resort to escapism because we've forgotten how to use our imagination. So we replace it with escapism, which can lead to some bad things. Alcoholism, drug addiction, those sorts of things are all escapism. So it's not a matter of asking why are you alcoholic, or why you got a drug problem. It's the fact that they had to escape reality. That's the initial problem, or the reality that was being given to them, not them creating that reality, but that reality that is kind of limiting them, and eventually people break. So that's what that's about. And another chart there in regards to problems. We've also got other charts here which every now and then we go to. Game of duality process chart. So that's essentially, again, knowing and understanding how reality is formulated, okay, and why we get into trouble. So these are steps of how you get into trouble. So the client learns about that at the same time, so therefore they won't do it again, right? So avoid the booby traps. But also we do the clearings that go with that process as well. So that's what that's about. This one's called the Ascension Calibration Chart. And again, we work on those 4 aspects, which I spoke about before using the divinity ring: energy, time, space, and momentum. So, we're energy. That's our true identity, is infinite consciousness. Time, understanding that we are most powerful when we are in a place void of time, which is the present and now. So we're not in the past or the future. That's when we are most connected to our higher aspects of self. When we're looking too far ahead or looking too far back, that's when we disconnect and we get in the mind instead of the heart space. And that leads on to the next thing: creating the right space, creating and holding space. So we have connection, we have guidance, but we also have the energy that is going to enable a process of healing and vitality. And the last one is momentum, having the act or the know-how to do it, right? Another chart which has got all the healing energies on it. So a few examples there is a healing we do where we remove all dis-ease and we replace that with beingness. And then we go another step high, which is connected to celestial existence. We go beckon true, which is creating you to be more a magnet of the things that your heart desires. So we've got you out of there to eventually get you back into here. Also, we've got on here surrender true and forgiveness true. Now, surrender and forgiveness are so powerful, those 2 words, because it's an act of, forgiveness is an act of letting go of everything that's happened up to that point. There's no needing to be cerebral about it and try and figure the ins and outs and who's to blame and da-da-da-da. It doesn't do you any good, okay? It's letting that go and realizing that in this moment now, you have every moment, which is the infinite now, again, removing from time, you have an opportunity to start anew, create a better future. So that's what's that's about forgiveness. And then surrender is surrendering yourself to the now. Okay, don't be connected to all this distraction. Bring everything back home, simplify everything. We've also got C60, which is carbon 60, which again is a very detoxifying substance. That activated charcoal, which is one of the biggest nutraceuticals out there in regards to anti-aging and so on at the moment, but it's also bound and connected to shungite too, which is a very special crystal as well. Also, we've got activate enzyme telomerase, which lengthens your telomeres, and that's to do with obviously maintaining vitality and lengthening your lifespan, and a number of other things. This is the chart, that's the sustenance of energy chart. So the aspects of life where you're either leaking energy or holding energy, and as we've already mentioned about that early on. And this is the conception chart. So this is all the areas of you, right? So sacred heart, endocrine system, digestive system, respiratory system. So once we've found out what we need to do, where do we need to make that intent? And then we'll come to anatomy and physiology and chart, find out a bit more specifically where we need to make the intent. But we've got a few additions on there: sacred heart, the ascension eye, which I call the singularity eye here. We've got the duality eyes and we've got the singularity eye. Now this here and your sacred heart are the most important aspects of you, because this is where you place your attention, and this is where you should be casting your intention from as a healer, especially as a healer. But for every individual, this is where we should be doing it, not from the mind through there, but through the sacred heart with love. And a number of areas, ancestry, existence, and so on. So yeah, that's essentially the chart system that we use. I know this video's gone on for a wee while, but I really want to explain the system and what it looks like. And also for anybody out there, we really emphasize connection, right, within a healing that healing session that we have with our clients, and we really promote the tools that I create and distribute here at Truly Holistic, because they help you to create and hold space. And, you know, create and hold spaces anchoring in your light, your higher aspect light, your source light, your celestial existence energy, which is enabling you the connection to get the guidance that you need to remain on your path, right? Your journey. And science will call that evolution. From a spiritual point of view, we call that our journey, our path, right? It's the same thing. And these particular tools, like wearing a pendant like I'm wearing here, these 3 cubit measures, these 3 rings, are all part of my ascendance. It connects me to one. The ring around the outside allows me to connect to my heart space. The ring, the next ring in, connects me to my higher aspects of self, and then this ring in the middle connects me all the way back to my origin of me as an infinite consciousness, my source self. So when you have that within your auric field, it's encompassing you and allowing that connection of your light to come through. So, and you don't have to place any attention on it or any intent with it. It's doing it 24/7. So all you have to do is wear it. It's so simple. So we really recommend that, the tools, especially if you're going to do a lot of clearing work. This is just going to enhance that to such a degree. It's amazing stuff. And trust me, I would not be, with my own evolution, be where I am without this stuff. Essential. And you can see that. That's why we're simplifying the system. When we do how we do the clearing work, we're trying to keep it as less cerebral as possible, trying to create and hold space and which allows our higher soul and our higher aspects to come in and do the work. Because sometimes when we're trying to do it at this level, just as a human through the mind, it's like knowing the whole picture with only one piece of the puzzle, without the 99 other pieces of the puzzle. So very hit and miss. But when you bring your higher aspects of self and bring them through, all of a sudden they see the full picture. They see all the 100 pieces of the puzzle put together, and they can give you the right information to get the clearing at the level that you need it, instead of a superficial level and staying out of the mind and remaining in the heart space. Now, what I'm going to also mention, just to finish off with, we've got a couple of projects that I've been working on. Got 2 systems out there, the broadcaster system, which I mentioned about using the sun ring and really enhancing your ability in using that tool. And the other one is the intuitively alignment, working on mechanical and structural alignment, realign your neck, your back, and those sorts of things. Really recommend it for anybody that wants to be empowered to do their own healing in regards to that. That's already out, but we're gonna add another component to it, which is gonna work on posture. You know, anybody that has issues like scoliosis, kyphosis, lordosis, and even not to that severe degree, but we're just going to work on, because if, you know, a lot of us, we do a lot of work where our head's protruding forward, which is on the Z-axis, and it rounds our shoulders, and it puts so much stress on our spine, or our pelvis is being tilted forward, or one side of the hips higher than the others, which is more to do with the X-axis. So we've got the Y-axis, which is the depth, the X-axis this way, and then the Y-axis, which is the length way. And this part of the system is going to teach you how to use that as an analysis to correct posture. And I think that's just going to enhance the system. And that's coming up very soon. And everybody that's bought that system is going to get that automatically updated and given to them. And for people that are interested in that system, soon that's going to be online to be part of that system, which I'm really excited about. And then also about color therapy. That's been something that I've been thinking about for a very long time. I've wanted to put out there and allow people to teach people about it. And I've done so many reiterations of a system to bring that forward. I've never been happy with it, but now I've found a happy place through it. And what we're going to do with that color therapy system, it's going to be a system which is going to be the least cerebral system you could think. It's not going to even include charts. You're not going to need to know specific terms or labels, because your higher aspects of your consciousness, they don't work with labels or diagnoses. They go by feel. So this system's all going to be all about feel. You're going to wake up in the morning, you're going to embody how you feel, whether that's something that makes you feel uneasy, whether it's an emotion, maybe that's a sensation like pain, or that might be It could be anything. And what you're going to do is you're going to, through intuition, you're going to be guided to a particular color, and you're going to use the color with the coil to then bring that frequency of light that is needed to remove that unease and bring it into ease without, again, your place of attention being on it, or your use of intention, so you can go about your day, enjoying your day, not feeling like you have to do clearing work all day long just to keep clearing yourself. That's no way to live. Okay, so the key is creating and holding space, and we're really facilitating now well with the systems that I'm developing, but also the system that we use here to help with clients every day all around the world. So I hope you really enjoyed this video, and giving you an update of where we're going. Yeah, this is evolving, you know, and that's what I'm very proud of, is the fact that this is a place you can come for healing, where the healing modality itself is healing. It is evolving. The practitioner is ever evolving self. And we want that for you to feel that effects too, and become part of this process, because this is going to enable humanity into a place where we've never been before. It's very exciting, which I'll have a lot more updates to tell you very soon. Till next time.